Hi, my name is Mike, and I'd like to welcome you to this episode of Wines Around the World, or Mike's Wines, as it's often called. As you can see, I have this very clear wine in this glass. Wait a minute, this is water. Okay. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, so give me a break. Water's just fine. What I want to talk to you about today is a serious matter that has to do with a magazine called The Wine Spectator. This magazine has been out for a good 30 or 40 years, since the advent of the growth of wines in America. And I think it was a bunch of guys that sort of liked wine, and they said, well, how are we going to figure out what wines are good and not good? And I think part of that had to do with the fact that they were drinking lots of wine at the time, and they couldn't remember one wine from the next. And so they decided to, maybe the problem was they were drinking too much wine. They tried not drinking wine and rating the wines, but it didn't work very well. So what they decided to do was after they drank a wine, they would put down whether it was good or not. So they started out with good, not good. And they thought, well, we can be more refined than that. And then they went to good, very good, not good, really not good. And ultimately they said, maybe we should have excellent in there and throw it away in there. And they did that for a while, but then they realized that after they were consuming their wine, they had trouble writing all those letters down. So they said, well, let's do it a different way. Let's rate it like hotels. 1A, 2A, 3A, or 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. Then somebody came up with the idea, probably around when computers came out, to rate the wines with a number so that those numbers could be put into the computer. And that was the origin of the Wine Spectator, which is to rate wines across America. Actually, they don't rate wines across America, but only California, Oregon, Washington State, and a few New York wines. However, did you have a question?
And the question was, do they have Iowa wines in there?
Do they even know about Iowa wines? You never see anything on Iowa wines in the Wine Spectator. Once in a great while you'll see a New York wine in there, but never Iowa wines. In any event, part of the goal of the Wine Spectator is to allow people to spectate on wines. That is to do what you do at football games and just watch and not drink wine. However, it did allow people who were investors in wine to put wines in their cellar that supposedly would stand the test of time. Quality wines that would age and sell at a higher market value. So these are the wine speculators as opposed to wine spectators. But the magazine has evolved over the years. They sell 1.5 million copies of this magazine every month across the world. So they make a few dollars and can afford to put some good wines down in their cellar. And it basically still remains a magazine about rating wines, wines that you can buy for your cellar, wines that you can buy if you're looking for good value in wine. As we all know, this Washington State wine is, as certainly Leon Merlot from an Iowa winery is. You can move the camera. Just take it over some other place and then keep looking at this. Since the Wine Spectator has become so popular, they've now done quite a few feature articles, and this particular issue of the Wine Spectator deals with Washington State wines principally. And so not only does it have kind of feature stories about individual Washington State wineries, but also a kind of a summary of the best Washington State wineries in the Wine Spectator's eyes. We can move the camera clear over there now. And I was just wondering if you had any questions regarding the Wine Spectator. You know, you would think a magazine, like maybe we're worried about how much this magazine costs, it's periodical. You'd think it would be expensive. It's nice and glossy and bound and everything else. Is there a question?
Do you think Iowa could have a magazine like Wine Spectator?
I'm glad you asked that. I very much think that's so. I very much think there's a hole in the market for that, and there's a demand for that. Not only would Iowa wineries as well as Midwestern wineries want to put together something like that, and have that in their stores and their tasting rooms for customers, but they would like to have that as well so that they can themselves learn about the different wineries and their competition, and actually their brethren in the winemaking industry. Because as in Iowa and the Midwest, it's true that all boats will float to the same level. So I think it'd be good for not only the wineries but also the wine customers and people, that it would certainly serve to enhance the popularity of the Midwestern wines by publicizing the Midwestern wines in that way. I think it'd be a great thing. So maybe someday that will happen. It's going to rely upon some really entrepreneurial people with great ideas and a lot of energy and resources and ability to have networking into the community of publishing industry and advertising industry and marketing industry. And it would certainly rely on people that know something about wine. So, well, I'm running out of water, so I'm going to close this episode, and we'll see you on the bye. Remember, keep your stick on the ice.